America's army split in two. Did BTS sell out Las Vegas? Or did Jungkook do it alone? VIP tickets vanish first, and a dangerous question shakes the identity of BTS in post-military era. Was this supposed to be a celebration, or the moment everything quietly changed? When big hit music confirmed a surprise fourth BTS concert date at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The expected reaction was simple: joy, chaos, tears, victory. Another night, another chance. Another historic sellout added to the era-rang world tour, BTS's long-awaited return as a full group after completing military service. But instead of unfiltered euphoria, something else flooded American timelines, a question no one wanted to ask out loud, yet everyone seemed to be thinking. Did BTS sell out Las Vegas because of BTS, or because of Jungkook? It began subtly, almost innocently, buried under screenshots and timestamps. VIP packages associated with Jungkook's sections disappearing first. Status bars flipping from available to unavailable before general sale traffic even peaked. Fans refreshing in disbelief, comparing notes, comparing cues, comparing wait times. Then came the whispers, then the theories, then the words that split the fandom down the middle. Jungkook-driven demand. By the time the fourth Vegas date, May 28, 2026, was officially locked in, Allegiant Stadium had transformed into more than a tour stop. It became a pressure chamber, a test site, a mirror reflecting something uncomfortable about BTS's post-military reality in the American market. 4 nights, over 65,000 seats each, hundreds of thousands of tickets. And yet the fastest-moving inventory wasn't general admission. It wasn't nosebleeds. It wasn't even premium floor sections. It was Jungkook's VIP, and once fans noticed that pattern, the conversation was no longer about concerts. It was about power. The era-rang world tour was already historic before Las Vegas entered the equation. BTS's first full world tour since military enlistment, tied to a comeback album scheduled for March 20th, 2026, it represented not just music but survival. Proof that the 7-member structure had endured years of pause, speculation, and fragmentation. Every city added to the itinerary sold out fast. Thumpa, Stanford, now Las Vegas. Dates multiplied because demand refused to slow down on paper. This was the definition of collective success. But fandoms don't live on paper. They live online, in data screenshots, in milliseconds, in perceived patterns. And in America, where Jungkook's solo footprint has grown to near-mythic proportions, perception moves faster than official statements ever could. The unofficial numbers circulating within ARMY communities weren't confirmed by Ticketmaster, but they didn't need to be. Fans trust timestamps more than press releases. They trust lived experience more than corporate silence. And according to those experiences, Jungkook's VIP packages didn't just sell out, they evaporated before queues stabilized, before bots were blamed, before the usual chaos narrative could settle in. Some ARMY began asking whether the extra Las Vegas date itself existed because of Jungkook. Whether Big Hit, Ticketmaster, and US market analysts saw something undeniable in North American data, that Jungkook, post-military, post-solo era, had become an economic engine powerful enough to bend tour logistics. This wasn't an attack, at least not at first. For many, it was awe disguised as analysis. Jungkook's solo achievements had already rewritten records: Billboard dominance, streaming milestones, mainstream penetration that blurred the line between K-pop star and American pop heavyweight. His name alone had weight. His face sold magazines. His voice crossed radio formats previously closed to Korean artists. When fans noticed that VIP packages attached to Jungkook moved faster than anything else, the logic felt almost obvious. But obvious truths can be dangerous, because for another faction of ARMY, this narrative felt like a slow-burn betrayal. A reframing of BTS that centered one member at the expense of 7. A storyline that American media loves: the breakout star, the solo magnet, the center of gravity, imposed onto a group that has spent a decade resisting that exact framing. BTS sells stadiums because of 7 became the counter-slogan. Not shouted, but repeated with quiet urgency across Reddit threads and long-form fan essays. Veterans of the fandom warned that focusing on VIP packages was a trap, a manufactured hierarchy created by ticketing systems designed to maximize profit, not measure love. They pointed to Ticketmaster's long history of steering buyers toward high-value options, of manipulating scarcity, of nudging demand toward premium experiences. In this view, Jungkook wasn't the driver, he was the bait, and Ticketmaster was the hand on the wheel. That accusation opened another front in the controversy. Because if Jungkook's VIP packages sold out first, was that because fans wanted Jungkook more, or because the system wanted them to buy Jungkook? Some ARMY alleged that the platform subtly prioritized Jungkook-branded VIP tiers, pushing them to the front of purchase flows, amplifying their visibility during pre-sales. Others suggested that resale algorithms and dynamic pricing played a role, creating artificial urgency around those packages to inflate secondary market value. No evidence was officially provided. No denial was issued either. And silence in fandom ecosystems is gasoline. American entertainment media began to notice the noise almost immediately. Not because BTS adding a fourth stadium date was surprising. By 2026, BTS selling out massive venues is expected. What caught attention was the nature of the debate itself. Headlines started framing Las Vegas as a barometer, not of BTS's popularity, but of internal gravitational shifts. One outlet described Jungkook as North America's most bankable K-pop solo force, noting that his post-military image carried a different energy, sharper, freer, more visibly aligned with Western pop masculinity. Another suggested that Vegas, with its data-rich ticketing environment, offered a rare glimpse into individual pull within a group brand, and suddenly, a fandom argument became an industry question. Could BTS still be analyzed as a single commercial unit, or had the market begun to separate them? Whether fans liked it or not, Las Vegas intensified everything. The city isn't just a stop, it's a symbol. Excess, risk, money. When 4 nights at Allegiant Stadium filled up faster than many artists' entire tours, analysts began whispering about revenue. Billion-dollar territory. A non-Western act potentially joining the smallest club in global touring history. In that context, Jungkook's name carried statistical weight. His solo catalog streams heavily in the US. His demographics skew younger, broader, less traditionally K-pop. For ticketing platforms and promoters, that matters. For fans, it's uncomfortable because once numbers enter the conversation, purity leaves it. On X, comparisons exploded. Jungkook's VIP sellout speed versus solo concerts by top American pop artists. Jungkook's engagement metrics versus group averages. Jungkook's search spikes aligned with pre-sale windows. Each chart, each graph, felt like evidence to one side and provocation to the other. Some fans leaned into the chaos, framing it as proof of Jungkook's era. Others begged for restraint, warning that this kind of discourse had fractured fandoms before. The phrase identity crisis began appearing more frequently, not about Jungkook, but about BTS itself. What does BTS mean in 2026? Is it still 7 voices moving as one, or a constellation where one star now burns brighter in certain markets? Big hit music said nothing, and in that silence, every theory felt louder. The agency's restraint was strategic, but it also allowed speculation to metastasize. Without official clarification on ticket distribution, VIP structuring, or demand analytics, fans filled the gaps with their own narratives. Some framed Jungkook as an unstoppable force elevating the entire tour. Others worried that external forces were exploiting his popularity to reshape how BTS is consumed. Neither side was entirely wrong. Neither side was entirely comfortable. What made the debate so volatile wasn't jealousy or favoritism, it was fear. Fear that BTS's greatest strength, their collective identity, might be vulnerable in a market that rewards individual dominance. Fear that American systems, media, ticketing, marketing, would do what they've always done, find the face that sells best and push it forward. And fear, above all, that fans themselves might help that process along without realizing it. Las Vegas became the focal point because it offered proof without explanation, screenshots without context, sellouts without transparency. And Jungkook, standing at the center of every theory, became both symbol and scapegoat. Yet one truth remained unchallenged. Every seat sold, every night filled. For stadiums worth of people showing up for BTS, whether they came for 7 or 1, they were still there. That paradox is what makes this moment so defining. BTS has always existed in tension between unity and individuality. The post-military era didn't create that, it exposed it. Jungkook's solo ascent didn't weaken BTS. It complicated how the world measures them, and perhaps that's why this question refuses to die. Did BTS sell out Las Vegas? Or did Jungkook? The honest answer may be the one no one wants to hear. Both. Because in 2026, BTS is no longer just a group fighting for recognition. They are a global institution navigating scale, data, and markets that dissect success down to the individual click. Jungkook's pull doesn't negate BTS's power. It reveals how modern fame works. Las Vegas wasn't just another tour stop. It was a lens. And through that lens, the world saw something raw, unresolved, and undeniably human. A fandom wrestling with growth, a group evolving under pressure, and a star powerful enough to bend narratives without ever asking to. As the Era-Rang World Tour continues across continents through 2027, this debate will follow it. Not as a scandal, but as a question mark hanging over every sellout, every added date, every VIP package that disappears just a little too fast. Is this the future of BTS? 7 together, one shining differently? Or is Las Vegas simply what happens when history collides with scale? For now, Allegiant Stadium stands silent between nights, holding the echo of a question that refuses to fade. And Jungkook stands at the center of it, not by declaration, but by demand. And yet, the longer this debate stretches across American timelines, the clearer one thing becomes. This is no longer just about ticket speed, VIP tiers, or even Jungkook himself. What unfolded in Las Vegas exposed a deeper anxiety inside the global BTS ecosystem, an anxiety about evolution, about power shifting quietly while everyone is still celebrating survival, because ARMY remembers what it took to get here. For years, BTS was treated as an anomaly in the US market, a group that shouldn't have worked but did, a non-Western act that filled stadiums without radio dependency. 7 men whose strength came precisely from refusing to let one eclipse the others. That story became sacred, protective, almost untouchable. When fans began circulating evidence, however unofficial, that Jungkook-linked VIP packages moved faster than anything else. It wasn't read as neutral data. It felt like a challenge to the mythology, and mythologies, once challenged, don't break quietly. Some American ARMY began reframing the Vegas situation as a stress test rather than a scandal. They argued that a 4th concert date isn't added because of one member or one package, but because aggregate demand overwhelms capacity. Allegiant Stadium doesn't care about narratives. It cares about revenue projections, traffic flow, and historical performance. From that angle, Jungkook's VIP sellouts weren't a cause, but a symptom of BTS's overall market dominance colliding with premium pricing logic. But even within that rational framing, Jungkook kept resurfacing, because premium logic always follows the same rule: attach the highest price to the strongest emotional trigger. And right now, in America, Jungkook is that triggered. Post-military Jungkook represents something very specific to US audiences. He is familiar enough to feel accessible, polished enough to feel global, and detached enough from traditional K-pop stereotypes to move fluidly through Western pop culture. His solo music has already trained the market to see him independently, not instead of BTS but alongside it. That dual positioning is powerful and dangerous. Dangerous not because Jungkook wants dominance, there is no evidence of that, but because systems tend to exploit clarity. Ticketing platforms, media outlets, promoters, they look for the cleanest story, the strongest hook. BTS sells out stadiums is impressive, but expected. Jungkook VIP packages vanish in minutes is clickable, and clickability reshapes reality. This is where American media plays a subtle but critical role. Coverage framing Las Vegas as a referendum on individual power didn't invent the controversy, it amplified it. By calling Jungkook a market magnet, or describing Vegas as proof of his solo gravity, outlets weren't attacking BTS. They were translating BTS into American terms: star power, units, draw, metrics the group has historically resisted inside fandom spaces.